Hey guys, doing a bit of a bonkers channel here for recording on At War. As you can see here, we've got a duel going on the Europe Plus map. For those of you that don't know, Europe Plus is generally the map that duels are played on. So we have Ukraine here playing as orange and Turkey playing as blue here. Let's have a look at who it is. So Rock Lee is quite a competent player, quite a good player, and Xcolonistor playing as Turkey. Now in this position it's quite a standard duel in the east, so there's two things that will happen in the first turn. You're probably likely to see around here that the Turkish player will either expand into the Balkans with an imperialist or a perfect defense strategy, or he may even take the option of going up into Russia's southwest. Now if he's playing something silly like Blitz, he will obviously try and get the Russia central and even push up here into the gold zones. Now the problem for Turkey in this situation is that really, although they have the leverage of the units, they don't really have the cash areas in which to go into. So they'll have to expand either to Italy or start taking some of these Russian sort of cash zones. Conversely, for Ukraine, the main problem in a duel is leveraging the position and the unit to get a good expansion so that you have the unit count to match with the Turkish people here. Now there's lots of different theories to play in Ukraine. It's not necessarily a one or two strategy to play competitive as it is as with Turkey. You know, you've got Sky Menace, you've got Perfect Defense, Great Combinator, Guerrilla Warfare is really popular at the moment. Desert Storm if somebody's looking for that sort of method. But really, because of the low cost of Ukraine, anything can be used to expand to. Now I fully expect a standard expansion to include Russian Northwest or certainly Moscow, as that gives you a decent amount of income, roughly 500 I think, for the turn. So that's really key to leveraging that position and making sure that you have the cash. Now they do have the quicker access to the richer regions of Scandinavia over here, which give you a solid income, and also the very rich regions of Northwest Europe over this site. So let's see how this goes. This is turn one. We've still got a minute and 30 seconds left on the turn. Hopefully it'll only be 4 or 5 turns that we'll have to commentate on, but we'll see what they're doing. Now I don't really like playing the East. I'm more of a West player. I think the East is quite a functional. In the first 2 or 3 turns you get quite bored of the same play, and also I'm just not fast enough, believe it or not, after 6 or almost 6 years now of playing At War on and off, never fully involved. I just don't really have the concentration or the the ability or the speed really in which is needed to play East. So I'm just going to give it 20 seconds to talk about the West. I prefer a West duel. Obviously that's not what we're looking at, but we can still have a look. The UK and Germany is pretty standard. Italy's becoming popular for 1v1s, obviously because of the damage that it does versus a German player if they expand correctly either into France or the Benelux areas here to get their gold. Although I still think that there's a great advantage that can be had by playing Germany. It's a really powerful pick if you're playing a West duel, as you're kind of limiting the UK, who's your main opponent over here, expansion, because he will want to grab some troops from down here and obviously try and control the northern region for the gold. So again, we'll go back, the turn's about to end, so let's see how the expansions go for this and then give a review of turn 2. So as you can see, as I said earlier, the Ukraine player will automatically go and get Russian Northwest or Russia Central here. He's gone hard into the western sort of central areas to try and limit, as I said earlier, the gold kind of take for this player here. Now what you have here for the new players, I believe they call it a palace wall. It's relatively new. I mean, 2 or 3 years has been going on in various iterations, and it gives the opportunity to wall after this turn with 3 units wall and take these units out. It's just giving that extra protection, whereas you can see Ukraine hasn't done that. If his wall gets broken, he's got to think about defending Kiev because it's a capital game. Now there are ways to combat this move, so if you get a bomber or a unit and place it here or guess correctly as close as you can to where it is, sometimes it will make the wall break around here. It limits your expansion, as you see. He hasn't been able to take Bulgaria, but that extra turn of protection really helps Turkey, especially to move and try and get some gold, as he's done already over here in Rome. This looks to me like it's an imperialist playing. I may be wrong. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not necessarily an East player, so the strategies that people use are different. He's obviously gone on overkill in Romania. That's a strategy in case he's got a rush going in there, his general's there. I would be worried here about the general in Slovakia for Ukraine. It's pretty isolated on its own, and if this stack here wants to make a first move, it could either block it or indeed kill it. There. So from here, I fully expect that some Italy is going to be taken. Turkey will try and shore up the rest of his Balkans to make sure that he's got that unit count, a wall break. There may be some funky walls going on around here, but who knows. For me, at the moment, the balance of power, I think Ukraine's had a better opening. It depends if he can now leverage this, making sure that he gets Russia central and obviously Finland, full Finland. Don't forget the country bonus for you new guys. It's really important to making sure you get those extra pennies to spend on your infantry and your tanks and whatever you want to use there. So just another thing about the sort of Ukraine-Turkey battles. It really is about attrition and the unit count over most things if you're looking for a past a turn 6 or 7. And then you're going to really leverage that money as well. So whilst Turkey has that advantage at the beginning, it can quickly be undone by the leveraging of the units by Ukraine in the north. So this kind of basic theory is that the bigger your army, the more chances you're going to have to win. There is a lot of manoeuvring, especially at a high level game. People can get a lot more troops back than you expect. So that early rush that sometimes happens is not necessarily a positive thing. So we're going to have a look at the unit counts. Let's just refresh this for you. We're looking at 69 units versus 91 units. As I said, this turn is key for Ukraine. Turn 2 is always a really important turn to, as I said, leverage those troops and make sure, even if his cap wall is down, that he has enough troops to get back into. So I expect him to take Helsinki, probably a bit of Sweden, maybe shore up some of these quick units to get back into Kiev. He would be wise to keep the Balkans down and obviously try and keep Istanbul away. Even Samsun can be dangerous if you want to lose some of these cities and get a press up into Russia Central. So 10 seconds left. Let's see how turn 3 goes for them. So as I said, look, he's taken Finland, got here. He's worked on his palace wall and it has worked for him. So there's been none of that suggestion to place a unit somewhere around here to make sure that that wall is prevented. I still think Ukraine's in a solid position. Turkey really hasn't taken advantage to go and get full Italy and make sure that he's got that income. He has protected his cities. I think Ukraine was more intent on expanding up here and making sure that he had his areas under control. As you can see, he's gone to get his gold from, I said earlier, from the northwest region of Europe here, which is a really solid income. These are really easy to take. A 5-man wall can quite easily defend it for a few turns. And one city countries, I think Amsterdam gets around 300, Brussels gets around 250, if I remember correctly. Which is a solid 500 income. That's 5 or 6 or 7 troops depending on what strategy you're playing. He's gone on the overkill to make sure that he can get back there. I assume they're militia. Unfortunately, I can't see what is happening, obviously. This, I don't know. I think he's just failed on Volgograd. That would have been a really nice access route to come down and take away this full country bonus for Turkey down here. You've got the protection coming up here. This may go up and take. I don't think that Turkey's going to rush in this situation. He's obviously looking for the longer game with his units over here. You've got a few bombers around that might block the turn blocks over here on Bari and Naples. For the new players that are here, prioritising your moves is really important in that war. Any high-level player will tell you that this is often more important than the positioning of your troops. So you're looking at first is to eliminate any open transport. So see, this transport here is very vulnerable by Montenegro to this bomber, which can limit, and obviously the cost impact that has and the limits of them getting back and defending their teams. Secondly, for me, is to make sure that that capital wall is down. as a priority. Maybe not a priority move, but to make sure that you have a unit or two lying around that can make sure that the opponent is not able to wall their capital, as it really does give you that impetus to go and make a decision of your opponent to if they need to defend or if they can expand. At the moment, Turkey's quite secure. He knows that he can carry on pressing up into Europe. He still needs to get money, though. This is the biggest problem that he has at the moment, because Rome alone will not give him, come turn 5, the sort of impact to be able to go and take what he needs to take or make the units that he needs to create. So let's see how this goes. I think that we're going here to get that full country bonus. Very good to see from Lee. I think he will get the full country bonus of Oslo, not Oslo, Ula and Tampere, and then attack into Sweden. He may even try and get Germany here as a little bit of a grab to get Berlin and give an option to go up. People get stuck on Berlin sometimes. I think they think it's a prize. Sometimes it's a poisoned chalice, because it's actually not in a very good position for a 1v1 eastern battle to defend, especially if you're coming from the south, bringing the units up in this method here. For Ukraine, obviously, it's a key target. It is good to take and stop the opponent going this way. But let's see. If there is a rush, I will eat my hat. I don't think there will be. I think there will be a few wall breaks, and I think that there may even be an attempt to go into Paris here in the last 5 seconds. Let's see how the turn goes. I've only got 4 minutes left on the video, and then we'll see. So as you can see, I think there was motivation to go over here. Paris is obviously a key destination. There was no rush. Quite why Lee hasn't decided to keep Ankara there, I don't know. Perhaps he's going to milk him dry with the sort of cash flow problems that Turkey will now start to have, having no real sources of income apart from his Istanbul, which is really minor income, a bit of Athens, and obviously these Italian cities. But in comparison, the money that Ukraine is holding, he is probably in a better position. Let's have a look at the unit counts over here before we stop the video for round 2. You've got 119 units and better cash areas, obviously right across the board here for Ukraine and Lee, and you've got 127. So, as I said earlier in the video, whilst Turkey has that initial advantage in terms of troop numbers, if it's leveraged right by Ukraine, that has been done here, you can really bring those numbers up. And with that cash flow problems, come turn 5, which is the recruitment, Ukraine will be able to utilize that and make use of his money and his units, whereas our friend in Turkey may be a little bit stuck. So as you can see, I'll leave it here. I'm just going to start a new video for you so you can see the opening turn on turn 5, and we'll stop it there.